60 seconds of silence. But imagine if you lived in silence for 60 minutes, 60 hours. What about 60 days? 60 years? What about a lifetime? What if you lived in silence for a lifetime? Now, maybe you don't have to imagine that. Maybe you're sitting there today in silence. Well, today we're going to break the silence. We're going to speak out, we're going to share stories, and we're going to support each other in the world of mental health. Today you're going to pick up 3 things that are must-dos to stop this silence. Now, I added one. I was going to only do 2, but I added one because Maya spoke so beautifully this morning, and she said I could be me. So, step number 1 is to learn from others. I learned from Maya this morning that I can be me, and I hate wearing shoes, so here I am. And I am awesome without them. Now, just for my mother's sake, I do have a pair. This is being filmed. I do have the matching outfit. I did come out of the house dressed. So thank you, Maya. Silence. If you're with me, this is your task. If you're with me, and you also want to break the silence and the stigma to mental health, what I'd like you to do right now on the count of 3 is say, hell yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Hell yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get started. Excellent. Raise your hand if you've had stress in the last month. Good answer. What about the last week? Today? Cynthia? Right? We all know this word we call stress. You eat too much, can't eat. Sleep too much, can't sleep. Focus too much, can't focus. Worry too much, can't worry. Cry too much, can't cry. Stomach aches, headaches, tension, shoulder pain, stress. But what you might not know or realize is that those are the same symptoms that people have when they have depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar illness. And if you really take a look at it, they're the same symptoms that people face when they're dealing with cancer, diabetes, heart disease. We all have them. They're symptoms of something. Now, the diagnosis doesn't really matter unless it's you that's living with it. But for the rest of the world, your family, your friends, your coworkers, the people here today, what we care about, what we need to understand is the symptoms that we show up with every day. Because they affect us in how we communicate, how we live, how we laugh. And we really need to understand those symptoms to stop silence and stigma. Let me share a little story about my symptoms. So if you had been with me in the year 2000, you would have seen me and my husband and my 2 little baby girls as we opened up our 3rd baby. And it was a baby called Lucy's Playpen, an indoor playground for kids ages 7 and under, and their grandparents and their aunts and uncles and their families. And this was my first big business. And it was amazing. There were white leather couches. There was hot brewing coffee for the mums and dads while the kids went off to play. Opening day, there were people everywhere. We had to shut the doors early. It was amazing. It was my dream. And my friends were quite envious because I was living my dream. My family was quite proud because they didn't understand what running a business was like. And for the first little while, I lived in the honeymoon phase. You know that phase in business? Everything is rosy. But after a little bit of time, things weren't so rosy. Things cost more than I thought. People don't always show up every day. The numbers start to dwindle. But you know what? Every day I put that smile on that Allison talked about this morning, and I said, hey, welcome to Lucy's Playpen. Come on in. I stayed silent. I'd stay silent to what was going on. I stayed silent to my symptoms, and I was there running my business because that's what I was supposed to do. Within a year, no word of a lie, just 1 year. You would have seen me and my husband as we were at Dundas and Richmond and London holding hands, and I was holding so tightly that his knuckles were white. And we were at this building called PricewaterhouseCoopers. You may have heard of it. And we got into the elevator, and we rode up to the 7th floor. And I looked at him and I said, Mike, they're going to take everything. And he looked at me and he says, Sarah, they can't. Because you still got me, and you've still got the girls. They did. They took everything but the house and the cars that day. I filed for bankruptcy. Now, I had symptoms. I had issues. I had challenges, but I stayed silent. Now look at me today. 13 years in business is 2 business, not just 1. Spoken Advantage and Stressed Out Solutions, and I'm 13 years in business because of this lesson I learned. Never stay silent again. If I had just asked for help, if I had just shared my challenges, if I had just spoke out. Because, as you know, business has challenges, life has challenges. Now, I speak out all the time. I share all the time, and I ask for help all the time. And to some of my friends in the audience, maybe even too much, but that's okay. At least I ask. And I'm in business 13 years. So you may ask, okay, so how do you do that? How do you bring that to your life, to your world? How do you stop the silence and stigma? We're going to do 2 activities. If everyone would stand up, please. All right, what you're going to do, and I am on a time clock, so this is not my fault if this takes an extra 30 seconds. But you are going to find a partner. A partner, I know we are inclusive and we are lovely people and we are women and we want to share and open up our hearts to everyone, but you only get one person. So you are a pair, not a triplet, not a quadruplet. You are a pair. 2 people, find a partner now. Who else does not have a partner? Raise your hand. Guess what? Welcome to the stage. And your name is? Sharon, welcome to the stage. Okay, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to face your partner, and I'd like you to say, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Great, that's awesome. Okay, so now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to turn back to your partner. I'd like you to change 12 things about yourself. You have 30 seconds, go now.
Change 12 things about myself?
Okay, we'll give them another minute, Sharon, because obviously it's afternoon after lunch, and we haven't even started the wine. But let's try this. Face your partner and say, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What we're going to do is we're going to turn back to our partner. We're going to change one thing about yourself. So it could be your sleeve, your bracelet, your name tag, your hairstyle, shoes, whatever it is, just change one thing about yourself. Just change one thing. Don't tell me. That's okay. Yeah, change one thing about yourself. Now I'd like you to face your partner and try to guess what your partner changed. Okay, your glasses. No? I'll give you a hint because I have to keep talking.
Oh, you took a bracelet off?
I just,
Rolled your sleeve.
we'll see.
Gotcha.
Okay, raise your hand if you guessed right away. Nice. Raise your hand if you're still trying to figure it out. Few of us. Okay, so we're going to do this again. Face your partner, say good afternoon. Good afternoon. What I'd like you to do is turn back to your partner. I'd like you to change one thing about yourself. One thing. Could be a bracelet or your name tag or hairstyle or shoe, like if you like to kick them off like I do, or how your shirt's tucked in or not tucked in. Change one thing about yourself. Now I'd like you to face your partner and guess what they changed. You shortened your name tag or put it in. Excellent. Just stay for a second. Raise your hand if you guessed right away. Fantastic. Please give my friend Sharon a round of applause and have a seat. Okay, clap once if you hear me. Clap twice if you care. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, so why did we do that? What was the purpose of that exercise? Just shout it out. Observation. Don't notice things. Paid attention. Yeah, these are great answers. They're all wrong, but thank you for participating. No, really, they're great answers. But the reason we actually did that is because if you looked at it, when I asked you to change 12 things about yourself, and I did it very quickly, and I didn't give you a lot of information or time for thought, it was difficult. What was I met with? Confusion, resistance, right? And then when I asked you to change one thing about yourself, but I gave you some examples, changed the tone of my voice, I actually demonstrated with some body language, you were able to do it, right? And when I asked you to do it again, you were able to do it. And if I asked you to do it again and again and again, guess what? You're able to do it. So, a must-do to change, stop the silence and stigma is to change small, change often. Change small, change often. So what does that mean? Well, you saw my video. If you're that first person in the video that is confident all the time, everything is going great, you have a smile on your face all the time, you open your doors to Lucy's Playpen and say, welcome, come on in. And nothing is wrong in your life, and your kid just got graduated from university, and you posted it all over Facebook, and that is you, and you're confident with that, and you're owning that. I'm going to ask you to change small, change often. Once in a while, share the journey that got you there. Share the fact that your son had to take an extra year, and that's okay. Share the fact that, you know what, you landed that really big deal, but it took you 7 deals to get there, and you're proud of that. Change small, change often. If you were that person in the video that always feels like everything and everyone is out to get them, nothing is going right in life, and we feel like that sometimes, right? But if that's you, change small, change often. Tomorrow morning, wake up and put something that you're grateful for, either on Facebook, call a friend, text a loved one. What are you grateful or thankful for? Now, raise your hand if you're a leader in a company, like a 9-to-5 or 9-to-9 kind of company. Few people in the room. Please, change small, change often. Go back to your companies tomorrow and start a conversation. Every business, every company, every organization must have a mental health program, just like we do women's training, just like we do sensitivity training, just like we do some of the other trainings. Because you know how many chemical spills happen a year? Think about it. But how many times are you sitting across from a coworker who's struggling? Mental health, change small, change often. Does that make sense? Say it with me, change small, change often. Change often, thank you. Second, must do. Okay, so Maya's listening to me, so I'm gonna say this very gently. I was going to say as my second point is don't use the F word. But between Jen and, so we've used it today, so we'll just skip that, and we'll go to don't use the G word. Now you're thinking, right? What happens when you wake up in the morning, you come to a conference like this, or you go into a workplace and you say, hey, how you doing? Good, how are you doing? Good, fine, good, great, yeah. Stop using the G word and the F word. It means nothing, absolutely nothing. We need to check in differently. We need to put meaning back into how are you? Because you know what's happening these days to the point of, hey, how are you? I don't even listen, right? Like, it's just a thing you do. Imagine if we did it differently. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is the worst moment ever, 10 being this is the best moment ever, think of your number. And when I count to 3, what I'd like you to do is shout that number out. 1, 2, 3. We're different, right? We're all different. And if my coworker says to me, hey, Sarah, I'm a 3 today, I'm going to say, hey, my door's open. Or I'm going for a walk at lunch today. Would you like to join me? If my coworker over here is giving me a 9 or a 10, if I'm stuck on a project, you know that they have some energy, some life, some excitement, some thought process, some focus that I might need to pull on and support, and them support me. Checking in differently. Use a scale of 1 to 10. So, I do have a little giveaway. This is how I'm feeling. I'm a 9. The only reason I'm not a 10 is because I'm not finished speaking and I have some shopping to do and stuff like that. But after my shopping, I might be a 10. So we've got a 9 on here. This is one way to show your coworkers, your friends, your family what you're doing. Then on here as well, we have words. And on the back of the words, we have an idea of how to take care of that feeling or emotion. A 9-year-old boy, stopped talking at home. How are you? I'm fine. How was school? I'm fine. Everything's fine. But they knew it wasn't. They knew that he wasn't. She gave these out to the family, and they all put them out in the morning, and he says, Mom, guess what? I figured it out. And the 9-year-old said, I feel neglected, and I feel misunderstood. Wow, right? Wow. So for the first person that stands up right now and says, hell yeah, this is yours. The rest of you have to come and visit me. All right, so how do we stop silence and stigma? We start by learning from others. Thank you, Maya. Our second step is to change small, change often. Our third step is to check in differently. Stop using the F and the G word. Do you know what will happen when we speak out, when we share our stories and we support each other differently? You know what will happen? Together, we will stop silence, stigma, and maybe even suicide.